Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. So we are on lesson 3 today of making pants that fit, and I'm going to show you my muslin process in just a moment. But first, welcome again to my new subscribers. Thank you so much. And if you want to take your sewing to the next level, this is the place to be. So go ahead and click that link down below to subscribe, and also don't forget to click that bell so that you get notified of any upcoming videos. And also you'll get notified when I go live, which is really fun because we have a blast every time we do a live session. I have so much fun with you guys. So here's what I'd like to do. I've been going back and forth in my mind as to how I was going to show you all the various possible edits to a muslin that you would have with pants. And what I decided to do is I'm going to show you what I have to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of videos that goes through all the different edits. And I'm actually going to show you, I think, on miniature versions of a pattern so that I just don't waste all that paper. And then I will be able to show you all of them and not just what pertains to me, because I really want to help everybody, not just people who look like me. So I'm going to do that in the next upcoming videos. I'll probably do 3 issues per video until I run out of things that I know about. And also, in that amount of time, when you make your muslin, if you would please go ahead and upload them to the Facebook group or email them to me, and I will bring them up. And if you'd rather not have your name attached to it, just say so. Okay, it's fine. Just say, you know, Miss K. If your name was Kim as well, you'd just say Miss K or whatever, or I'll just say a viewer or whatever. I don't have to say your name, and because I know it's a little intimidating. Believe me, I know how intimidating it is to have your rear end on camera, but I do it for you. Okay, so I will. They don't have to say your name, and I'll go ahead and show you the wrinkles that that person has, and then show you what I would think would fix it, because that's how it's really going to help. And I really want to help all of you, and not just people who have easy fixes, and not just people who look like me. Okay, all right. So I am going to show you some pictures and a video of me in my muslin, and then I will take you through the edits, and then I will just say a closing couple things. All right, so first of all, I just want to say about muslins. So when you make a muslin, and I forgot to point this out in my video, but I had already checked it, so I'm going to point it out to you now. When you make your muslin, make sure that from the pattern piece you mark your hip and you mark your knee so that you can see if they line up properly on you. Okay, that's really important, because if you don't have this hip to knee right, that can cause a lot of issues. Most of my issues in the past have been that. All right, so because I have very short legs compared to the rest of me, so make sure that you mark those so you can double check that those are in the right spot. Also, as you're making changes on your muslin, make small changes. Don't, carve out a huge giant amount and then it's gone and you have to start from scratch. Just take little bits at a time, or add little bits at a time until you get it right. It's not an exact science. Using a crotch curve is definitely not an exact science, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Also, make a full-length muslin, because how your calves sit in your pants make a difference all the way up. So if you have large calves, it's going to affect how they lay going all the way up your leg. So make sure you make a full-length muslin. Even if you don't intend to make full-length pants, at least you'll have the pattern corrected for that when you want to. Also, whenever you make an adjustment to one piece, you have to think about any other pieces that it attaches to and whether or not you need to make that change on them as well. For example, if you make a change to the front, you're also going to have to change the front pocket pieces. But it's pretty simple to do. But just to let you know that that is something you're going to have to consider. Now the crotch curve. And I showed you in the upcoming clips how I used it, but let me just say a note about that. So this is kind of been out of shape now, but my crotch curve was something like this. And when I laid it on my pattern, this was way pronounced over what was on my pattern. The crotch curve is a reference. It's not exact. I tried to make it exact once with horrendous results, okay? You can't just lay your crotch curve down and make your pattern that way. It just doesn't work. So what you need to do is use it for trends. So you can see, ooh, and you'll see an example of that, real good example of that when I'm doing my edits on my muslin, or when I'm doing my changes on my pattern, because I have a real sort of scoopy low butt, and I wouldn't have thought that by the wrinkles, but you can see that the crotch curve shows that I do. So what you want to do is just look for those kind of trends and then just make small adjustments. Don't lay this down and think that that's going to be the exact silhouette of your pattern, because I don't know why, but it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but for me at least it hasn't. Maybe for some people you've had luck doing that, and if you have, I wish you'd share it, but honestly it's not really an exact thing. That's how I was so frustrated with using a crotch curve until I realized that you don't just trace it out and trace that onto your pattern. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe if you could be super exact and not, bend it at all when you're getting in and out. I just think that by nature of the way that the shape is and the way that you have to kind of get it off your body, and it's over top maybe of clothes, there's just so many factors. So just get the trend, and then it'll help you know what needs to be adjusted. All right, that's how I use it anyway, and there might be other people who can show you how to do it with an exact measurement, but honestly I have tried that and it does not work. All right, so I'm going to go straight to the video and show you all the different changes that I needed to make to my muslin, and I will be back after that with a few closing words. So I have made my muslin. All right, so what I've noticed is that I need extra room over here. This doesn't quite give me enough room in the hips, so I'm going to go ahead and just mark from there to there that I need extra room. All right, and otherwise on the front, pretty good. In the back, I have the sway back happening, and these wrinkles here, this sway back. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to mark how much I need to pull that in. All right, so that is my muslin. So the adjustments I need to make. All right, so I have taken my muslin off, okay, and I know what adjustments I need to make. All right, and I'm going to walk us through that. First of all, I'm going to lay my pieces together, making sure that the grain lines are perpendicular, and just overlap the 5/8 seam here. And this is my crotch curve, okay? So I have done my crotch curve, and I just want to take mine and compare. And see, you can see that I need to extend this quite a bit and maybe scoop it a little bit. All right, So that's how you use your crotch curve, not so much to get exact measurements, but just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. So this needs to be extended and possibly scooped a little bit here. Okay? So I'm going to take, at this point I'm not going to do anything to my front piece. In times past I've gone ahead and shortened the front rise a little bit. I'm not getting that this time, so I'm going to wait and see how it is, but because this is something you can even do while you're in the middle of making pants. What I would do in that case is I would take my curved ruler and I would just go down as much as you need to, and then just taper it back to the side seams. I'll go ahead and do that on this piece just so you can see what I mean. So I would just go down however much you need to go down in the front and just find the right amount of taper there, and then just taper that right back to the side seams so that you're not that way, so that you're not interfering with the side seam. Okay? And then of course you're going to have to make that adjustment on the pocket as well. All right? Now the back piece, I have some issues. So on the back piece, in order to get those wrinkles that were underneath my bottom out and match my crotch curve better, so I'm just going to take a small piece of paper and I'm going to extend this out about maybe a 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. Just start with a little bit and then you can always add more. But I'm going to extend that out. Maybe not quite that much. So I'm going to extend that piece out a bit. And then if you notice my crotch curve, had quite a bit more scoop to the bottom. All right, I'm not going to do that much because it wouldn't fit right then. But I am going to just scoop it a little bit, just to match my curve a little better. Don't need very much, really. A little bit makes a big difference. So I'm just going to scoop this out a little bit more. All right. Now, what I want to do is I took away about 1/4 inch on this seam, so I need to add it back. So I'm going to add that to the sides, which I already needed to add to the sides. And on my muslin, I marked the place where it didn't come together very well. I don't know how I ended up with that being too tight, but I'm on steroids right now. I have a feeling that might be why. So it was right here at the hip line that it started. So I'm going to go ahead and add, if I added 1/4 inch, it would add a whole inch. And I did take away some there, so I think I'm going to add about 3/8 inch and just see. Because if you add too much, you can always take it away when you try on your pants the first time. So I took out 1/4 inch right in here, which is going to fall right at the hip area. So I'm going to add that back over here, And I'm also going to add the amount that it wasn't quite wide enough. So I'm going to take out, or I'm going to add about 1/4 of an inch to the hips. Again, yeah, need to come down a little bit lower. So I'm going to add like 1/4 of an inch to the hip area, and then I'm going to also add back the 1/4 of an inch that I took away here. So I'm going to add about 1/2 an inch altogether at the biggest point. And then it really wasn't tight in the waist, so I kind of tapered it back for the waist. All right, so I've got here, and I actually will smooth that out with another small piece of paper. By the time I'm done with patterns and muslins, there's so much tape and extra paper on them. I usually will end up just tracing them with tracing paper when I'm all done, and that way you know it's going to be better. All right, so then I'm just going to true that up with the hip line. All right, so I've added 1/2 an inch over here. Not quite. I need to do just a tiny bit more. All right. So there is my new hip line. Now, just as a review, when I scooped this out, I took away some that would be actually in the hip. So I added that over here, plus I added the amount I needed to add because it wasn't fitting properly. So there's my new pattern for that. Now the other thing I need to do with the back, so I addressed the wrinkles and I addressed the tight hips. Now I need to address the waist, the gaping in the waist. So I went ahead and I had pinched this out. So I'm going to measure how much I had pinched there. Which was, I hope you can see here. So measure how much I had pinched, which was a good 1/2 an inch. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up 1/4 of an inch on each one of these darts. So I'm going to add 1/8 of an inch on either side of each dart, so that will be at 1/2 an inch total. So what I'm going to do, I'm adding 1/4 inch to each dart. So what I'm going to do is just do 1/8 on this side and 1/8 on this side. So there. There. So 1/8 of an inch on either side of the dart. All right, so that will bring the back a little flatter. All right, now because I did that on the back waistband, all right, so on the curviest part here of the waistband, I'm going to cut from the bottom up. I'm going to cut to, but not through that line, okay? And since I had added 1/4 of an inch to each side, and this is basically this is just one side of it. I'm gonna overlap 1/4 of an inch. You see that? It's 1/4 of an inch overlapped. And tape it. And then that will match the back again. All right? So I've addressed several of the issues, and I still have one more, okay? So I've created a new dart, so I got rid of the gaping, transferred that to my waistband. I added this little extension to take care of the wrinkles under my bottom. Because the shape of my crotch curve was a little scoopier, I scooped it out a little bit. Well, I hope that was a little bit helpful, seeing how I went about the process, although I know your body is not going to be exactly like mine. So we're going to each have our own individual struggles. So I just showed those ones that pertain to me. Now, in the upcoming videos, what I want to do is take the other ones and do about 3 of those per video until I run out of edits. And hopefully we'll cover everyone's, as I explained before. So it'll probably be over the course of about 3 videos, and I'll try not to make them too far apart, although, you know, I do want to give a little bit of breathing room in between each one so that you have time to sort of absorb the information. It'll probably be over the course of the next week or so that I'll have all of those up. If you like the shirt, the cut file that I used to make the shirt is available on Ellie Mac. And if you have a silhouette or a cricket, you can download the cut file and make one yourself. What I did with this one was made a stencil and used fabric ink paint because I like the look of that more than vinyl. So I hope that helped, and I hope that over the next week or so that you all will be able to find what will work for your body. And don't be afraid to make another muslin after you make some make the suggested edits, because you'll want to check them. I know my body, so I don't feel like I need to do another muslin, but it will be worth it to you if it's your first time. It will be worth it to you to go ahead and make a second muslin. All right, have a fantastic day, and it's beautiful here. It's like 70, the sun is shining, and just go get that day today. It's wonderful. Have a fantastic day. Happy sewing.